Morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, what is it? This is right. We've just been chatting about this topic, and I said I must start with the actual title of the topic. And now I know it's something about guilt. Where does guilt come from? And can we release it? Can we live a guilt-free life? And of course we can, but what are the steps in doing that? How do we live a guilt-free life?
Yeah, Joe and I always know when this is a big vulnerable topic, when we spend too much time like trying to, talk about other things and not get on camera, because this one is like such an underlying part of all of our lives. I mean, I know if you're into self-development at all, you've seen how really the underlying belief that most of us carry around is I'm not good enough. And it's underlying, or I'm a bad person is part of that. I'm wrong. And so you have to have those beliefs to feel guilty. And we want to talk about self-responsibility this morning. But before we do that, I want to show you, talk about some stories from our own past and really go to the details of those stories. And that's the hard part, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, that's the hard part.
To really go to what do you have to clear up to get past thinking that you're a bad person, or that you're wrong, or that you've failed, or that you're, it's my fault. These kinds of, it can be deeply entrenched belief systems, but we're so busy in our adult lives avoiding those belief systems that what do? We work, we get busy, we go shopping, we watch Netflix, we eat stuff, we do everything we possibly can to avoid feeling like we're not good enough.
Blame other people.
Oh yeah. So before we go to your awesome story of from your own experience as a child, what do you want to say about that?
Well, this is what's challenging for us, because it is going to the detail of the story, because we know that's where the gold is for you guys, because it was for us, and how to get on the other side and to be self-responsible is the solution. But we have to talk about our childhood, and it makes it you could construe it as us blaming our parents, blaming the other people in our lives, but we're not doing that. We honor that everyone is doing the very best that they can with the knowledge they have at the time. As we share our stories, and perhaps we even say a certain age, then you're the parents out there, and you're possibly going to have kids at the very same age that we're talking about, or you've recently been through the very same things as a parent, doing the same thing to your child. And as we talk about guilt, feelings of guilt may come up for you. And we recognize this. We recognize how darn hard it is. How hard it is to be self-responsible. So I'm going to share a story today that has my mother and sister in it. And, they may see this, but I want to honor them, that I know that they were doing the very best that they could. And in that moment, in those times, I was doing the very best that I could as well. And the coping skills that I learned back then served me well. But as an adult, I needed to let go of them to live a guilt-free life and to have a joyous life.
Yeah, exactly. That's so cool. So cool. And if you are getting triggered by this, please tap along, or because Joe's going to go to a story of what happened to her when she was about 3 years old. 3, 4?
A little bit older.
Yeah, 5 or so. So why do we go there, guys? Why are we going to go to a time when you're 5 when we're talking about guilt? Because as I said, you can't carry around guilt. The guilt emotion comes from a belief that I'm not good enough, I'm wrong, I'm not smart enough, I've failed. And for Joe back then, I often asked Joe about guilt. And we were talking about this morning, and she goes, oh, no, I don't feel guilty. And there's a part of me going, oh, God, how does she do that? But I would have said the same thing in my life about anxiety. I don't do anxiety, you know. But really, when I first started doing the work on myself, anxiety is just that's just the undergoing, what do you call it? The undercurrent. The undercurrent of my entire life,
everyday life,
is anxiety. So I've got kind of a power position around it too. It's like, I know how to do this.
Same for me around guilt. It's the underlying foundation of every day of my life, and I am denying it. Yes, you asked me. No.
Yeah. It's like, I don't, you know, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine. And by, you know, being fine, and, you know, that was my little wall that I had up for much of my life. By being I'm fine and I can cope, even though, you know, I'm ending up in bed every 3 weeks with burnout. Like, oh, don't worry about that. Nobody knows about that. So Joe's, you know, going to people to try and talk to them or whatever to like work out what can somebody do for me, kind of thing, and have to like pay somebody to talk to you.
Yeah, from the age of 17. I kind of worked it out 30 years later when I was 47.
But a lot of that kind of, that behaviour, that I'm fine, I've got a wall, you know, all of those things is another, it's just another kind of protection. And that's what we're doing in our adult lives. And when somebody starts to really question us, which is what happens when you come along to our group calls, as all the ladies know, and this was done to me too, and they start asking, well, how do you know, Ilka? How do you know that you're not good enough? And you're like, oh, just go away. I don't want to answer that question.
Yeah.
And because what's going to happen is I hadn't even cried in front of anybody, really, until I started doing fast EFT. Like, there was probably about, apart from my mum, there was probably about 3 people in the world that had ever seen tears come out of my eyes. And that's shameful as well, to be weak in front of people. So when someone started asking me and I start feeling uncomfortable, I put the wall back up. It's like, no, don't ask me that. I want to get out of here right now. And I know a lot of the ladies on the calls, like, they've told me, they've gone, Ilka, I wanted to just get off this call so many times. I just wanted to hang up. I wanted to walk away. And luckily in our calls, you can sometimes kind of walk away, tap, 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 come back. And this is why this tapping process is so amazing.
Or blame you. When
Punch Ilka in the face.
When I first moved to the sunny coast, and like a whole world of alternative practitioners opened up to me, and I chose one. And when I went into her and I start telling my story about my son, and she tries to flip it back to me, what's going on inside me, and I was furious with her. And I did want to leave. I did want to walk out, but something in me told me to stick it out. And later at the end of it, I could tell her how I wanted to leave. And even when I went back in future sessions and I said to her, I'm embarrassed because I feel weak because I come back to you. And she said, no, you're one of the courageous ones. Many people don't come back and face this.
Yes, which is why we always pay a special tribute and honour to all the women who do show up on our calls. And, you know, there is a special kind of catharsis, though, in being around other people who are willing to go, look, I'm over it now. I just want to let it go. Like, I just got to be honest with myself. And that was, you know, as much as it was scary, that was the beautiful part about just being completely giving it up, just going, okay, I am jealous in this moment. I am being a spiteful bitch in this moment. I am, you know, with your husband, with your children, I've just spewed anger all over them for no freaking apparent reason. So Joe, when you were working on yourself, like what was the story that you had to go to? You went to many, mind you, but this is the one we're going to pick for this morning.
Yeah. So this is me being at home in my bedroom in the morning, and my mum and older sister fought most mornings. So in the mornings, there were just the three of us at home, and like verbally fought.
Loud voices.
Speaking over one another, and this day it got really raised to a new level, and I'm in my room, cowering is the term that I like to use. I am scared to step out, even though in the family, when I look back, I believe I developed the peacekeeper role, and thought that there were times when I could step in, I knew, and bring things back to being peace. But this day, no, I'm in my room and I'm terrified. And there was a long floorboard hallway, which meant that I could hear, when you hear people like walking heavily, or people close to one another, and loud voices, and I could hear footsteps as well up and down the hallway. And we had a glass front door. So I'm hearing the loud voices, I'm hearing the tramping on the wooden floor, and next thing I hear the glass door smash. And in this moment, I'm terrified. I'm huddled in a ball in my bedroom, terrified of opening the door and going outside and finding out what is happening out there. And when I worked on this with Ilka in a 2-hour session, and I got from being terrified in my room and hearing all those sounds, and she went through those sounds and made those sounds of footsteps, of doors slamming, until
tap, tap, tap,
until I could go, I'm not scared anymore. She could make the sounds, and I'm not going back to the painful memory and being in that moment right there and then. So you could do it to me today. You could make the smashing of the glass door. You could make the heavy steps on the floorboards, and you could make the yelling and the screaming. And I am not going to be scared, terrified, cowering in a ball, choosing silence and fear to protect myself.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing that story, because you can see that if you've had that experience as a child, you start to understand why the subconscious is very good at protecting you from that experience. Your subconscious goes into, don't worry, Joe, I got you, I will protect you now. And if there's a loud noise, I will remind you, the amygdala part of your brain will go back and find that smashing door. And this is a PTSD thing. Everybody knows that a Vietnam vet or somebody like that, they hear a helicopter go over, they're like that. They have a reflex like that fast. And that's what we have as adults when we have not resolved that trauma. We are still replaying it. Every time you walk past a shopping centre and someone slams a garbage bin lid down, there's a part of you that flinches and it tightens. And we live in this state of tenseness and tightness and protecting ourselves until we don't. And so that's why I will go to an nth degree that might sound a bit crazy, that I did the sounds of the footsteps and tap, tap, tap. Did the sounds of the footsteps and tap, tap, tap. Footsteps, tap, tap, tap. And I do this with people with PTSD so that they can, because otherwise that sound will actually have power over you for the rest of your life. And I know that my husband's tone of voice, if it ever went up into an angry kind of, why'd you leave the oven on? Like that kind of thing, I was in you might call it a minimized state of PTSD. It was whatever, but for me it was there. But I didn't even know this until I started doing this work and started really going, well, this is why I'm holding on to things, because I'm always protecting myself.
Yeah, and so I go into a marriage and have 3 children, and my highest value is peace, quiet, calm, but it's not coming from a healthy place. So what do? I suppress my emotions. I suppress anger. I suppress tears. I suppress my voice. I don't speak up when I disagree. I say yes when I mean no. I don't know how to speak up for myself. I don't even know that it's okay for me to have a different opinion to someone else.
Yeah.
Because the utmost important thing for me is to have quiet.
Yes. So, and it's not always obvious to a small child what she made that whole experience mean. But as an adult, we can go back to the event, because it's the event that holds all the change that you have to make in your life. It's the small details of what happened to Jo there, because all the different things made her make decisions about how she was going to act in her life moving forward based on that experience. And the thoughts that she started to have probably back then. So what do you think, like the first initial thoughts that you have, like stay away from...
Oh, stay away. Stay
away.
Silent, stay away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You'll be safer if you stay away from them.
Yep. Hence I become what's known as an introvert, and I keep myself away from people as an older person because I'm scared of people.
Yes. And so then the belief it's because sometimes it's not when you're a small child that these beliefs, like we say, oh, I'm not good enough. But the child in that moment isn't thinking I'm not good enough. It's more when you get into the adult life and you think, why can't I just go up to people and talk? Like, why is this difficult for me? And that's when you start thinking, am I a failure? Like, I must be a failure.
Something wrong with me.
No. This is why we want to go to these details here and what happened to Jo, because as soon as you understand what happened to people when they were small, when they were 3, 4, 5 years old, where you're in this like hypnagogic trance, they call it. Like you're in a brainwave state where things just get like they soaked in like a sponge, and your childhood experience like creates your identity. And so if we don't go back to those details and go, well, this is like, you've got to understand you were terrified in that moment, and your body has been protecting you from that experience ever since. And when we go back to the details and we unravel it and we go, oh my God, yeah, I can so see how that's where I became like this, like, not back then she just got the belief, I'll stay away from them, like it's just not safe. And now I'm going, as an adult, I'm 45 years old and I'm going out to networking events, and I'm just a bit like, oh, I'll just stand back and I'll just won't, intrude on anybody, and I'll kind of like, in a way, be cowering in the corner.
Oh yeah,
so you're still doing it
in the line outside, waiting to go inside. I'm like, maybe I should go home. Oh, I don't think I really need to be here. Is this really important? Should I? Yeah. What am I doing here? Why am I here really? This has all gone through my mind in the lineup outside the door, because I know I'm going inside to speak to people. And also what I developed is this brilliant ability to make it all about them. People would love engaging with me because I was so good at asking questions about them. And anytime they inquired about me, I'd give as little information away as possible and flip it back to them.
Yeah, because again, what if those people are like your mum and sister when they're fighting? Like your subconscious is protecting you from meeting somebody like that. Yeah. And this is like, it seems so simple, guys. It's like, oh, it couldn't be that simple, Ilka, that it's just all comes from there. It is that simple.
Sure, honesty is that simple. And the willingness to go to the emotions is not simple, though.
Yeah, that is it. Like, it's turning up. That's why we say, like, turning up every week and going and being that person who can be that honest about, details of their childhood, but also really going there and experiencing those terrifying feelings again, and then tapping them away, because it's about releasing them. It's not about going over the story 100 times. It's about taking the wisdom from that experience and then releasing it. And we don't, as Jo said, we don't often go to the full-on details of childhood stuff on our live videos because it goes out to the world, and we are still a little bit scared of what it looks like we mean about our parents and what it looks like we mean about our siblings. And we seriously know, just like us, that just like I did the best I could with my own children, my mum and dad did the best they could. They really, really did. And yet you still got to go there when you're working on yourself, because the change is in those tiny details of what happened to you. And if this is scary for you, you know, we have amazing techniques where we just tap slowly, and that's why it's beautiful to start coming along to our Thursday night tap-alongs, where it's a little bit more generalized. You can just tap on general things. You can go slowly. And then come and you can address some of the bigger stuff. But I really do think, as much as it is like we've spent our entire lives avoiding our emotions, there is something amazingly beautiful about hanging out with a group of people who are ready to just like be honest, we call it brutally honest or compassionately honest with yourself, and really go there and let it go.
Yeah. So freedom is on the other side of being compassionately honest with yourself and willing to go to the feelings.
Yeah. And then to get back to the self-responsible piece, the self-responsibility then comes because, and it's really easy, guys, because you've changed that Joe who was carrying the corner was never a failure. Everybody can see that. Everybody knows that. Nobody is ever going to blame a 3-year-old child for making the choice to stay away from her sister and her mother in that moment. She did the safest thing that she could do in that moment. And that is what all children are always doing. They are always keeping themselves safe. And so that is where all of our belief systems come from. It's an act of keeping yourself safe. You're not a failure. You are not broken. It's not that you're not good enough. It's not that you're wrong. It's that your system is built to protect you. And I hope that we've kind of made that clear, because going to the details of a story can really paint that picture. And yet we don't do it very often on these videos because we've got to tap on ourselves a bit more around and we don't like to tell other people's stories because they're not ours to tell. We have to tell our own, and yet we don't want to like make it look like we want to blame anybody else, because it's really, really not about that. It's not about that. It's just about clearing the emotions. And I can honestly say, like the first 5 or 6 fast EFT sessions, I focused mostly on just feeling like I get everything wrong. I can't, you know, I'm a bad person. I mean, that can even come from just being the oldest child. And when the smaller sibling comes along, there's all these feelings of jealousy, and it's terrible to admit it. You don't want to admit this as an adult. Have you not got over that yet?
Yeah.
Like, are you really
still living
like
in the past?
For fuck's sake, like get over yourself.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're really honest, it's playing out in all these other parts of your life that you're still jealous of other people or whatever. But it started back when you were 3 years old, when mummy said, no, you can't have, you know, breast milk anymore. You can't have that. And you were devastated, and somebody else is getting all that love and attention that you're not getting. And they're also annoyed with you because you're getting in the road. And you take that so personally as a 3-year-old. And you're carrying that around again. Like I found a deep, dark belief that I was a monster from when I was around that age. And I still was carrying a fair bit of that with me, even though it's running in the background somewhere back there. And I don't want to tell anybody because that's shameful. So yeah, but when you go there and you actually release it, oh my God, the other side, you can become self-responsible, because you can really recognize it, even understand it, even though that's not a huge part of it. The biggest part is just releasing the emotion. And you can then it's easy. It's easy, guys, because you're not living from this underlying belief that you are not good enough.
And that other people are doing this to me.
Yes.
I could still be behaving from that memory in saying that, well, I go out to networking events and I can't speak to people because they don't want to talk to me anyway. I don't know why do I go. They don't care about me. But it's not about them. It's about what I'm doing to myself in those moments, in the lineup outside, walking in. So it's how it's showing up in our adult lives when we want things that we aren't aligned with. Then we go looking for the links back to where we originally set up that belief.
Yeah.
And clear those up.
Clear them up. And then, I would never have believed it was possible to live without guilt. It just, anxiety and guilt. It's like, doesn't everyone do life this way?
Guilt for me.
Yeah, shame and guilt. It was just so normal that, and people pleasing, just so normal. Like, isn't this how you have to do life? And, but it's not. It's just not how you have to do life. And mastering life is about self-responsibility. And I was saying to Joe, like, it's about doing it in every moment. Like, it's like there's so many of our patterns and our behaviours that are about avoidance. Like, we played them out this morning before we made this video. As I'm blah, 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 blah. I want to talk. I don't want to fucking be vulnerable on a camera and I have to go to this stuff, and even though I love it, but yeah, when we've got to talk about it, it's like next level talking about it live to the world.
And there's also, we love the work of Marshall Rosenberg, and we've put a link down below this. It's a relatively short video of a snippet of one of his workshops where he talks about your needs and how we're just getting our needs met often in unhealthy ways, and how when we become self-responsible, we can speak from our own needs and what I want. And an example of this is a relationship that I'm in, and this goes back to not being able to speak up for what I want. There was a moment when I felt jealousy and rage, and I recall dancing around the kitchen going, oh my God, I feel like a 4-year-old. I'm so angry right now. I'm jealous. And when I checked in with myself, I later could, I did say sorry, but I said, I'm sorry, I couldn't speak up for what I wanted. Because in a relationship now, it's important for me. I have a need in a relationship to speak up for what I want, and I didn't do that.
Yeah.
It's not about another person and me being
you
jealous
didn't do this
or something.
you should have been that.
You need to change your behaviour. It's about what's going on inside me. So what a great opportunity I had in that moment to clear up a little bit more of what was left around not speaking up for what's important to me.
Yes. This is the mastery of it. And Joe and I, we're a work in progress too. Like, I have many opportunities with people in my life to practice every day. And the people in our TAP commune, our mums, they post things about they're practicing this stuff every day.
Yeah.
But do you want to be in a community of people who are practicing this and living this life of self-mastery that is an ever-expanding, ever-growing thing. It's my son plays tennis, and I often think about that. Like, he has to keep mastering the game, and this is the same thing. It's just like you either be they call it passive aggressive. That's one of the names for how you can be, or the storm, or the limpet on the rock, and these are the two extremes of how you can have power. You can be the person raging and blaming and criticising, and you get a lot of power out of that, or you can be the person over here silent and holding your ground. I'm like, they're the idiots and they're the crazy ones, and you can get power out of that too. Or you can choose to actually think about what you value in life, what your needs are, and you can speak for those. And if there will be people that aren't interested in your needs, and you have to be okay with that. And there are other people who are interested in coming into your life and being a part of what you want to create in the world. And if that's joy, they're here to create joy with you. And then it can become an amazing and wonderful relationship. They're here to grow with you. You know?
Thank you for being that person for me.
Exactly. Sorry, that was a joke. I was going to slap you. So, and you can have fun
I thought
with
that
it
was
along
a
the
hug.
way.
I thought, yeah, that's just...
Yeah, that's probably Joe and I are more likely to have a laugh about slapping each other than hugging each other.
Go to cynicism. And at our first workshop that we did, we forgot the tissues and we forgot the hugs.
So you find other people that have the same, you know, kind of bent on life or whatever, but it becomes a fun way to create together and have joy together. And that's when we move past our programming, that's how life can be. And it really is quite amazing. And, you know, we have all this along the way, but we come out the other side, you know, always in the creative mode, in the artist mode, in the mastery mode, not in the telling the same old stories and blaming others and all of that crappy stuff.
Strengthening the belief that I'm not good enough. When we tell the same old stories over and over, we just strengthen the neural pathways to those stories.
Yeah, that's it. So come along and join our tap-alongs. We're going to be doing a special one on guilt this Thursday night. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got a story like that you could go to. You know, the Thursday nights is really for something quite general. We don't want to, it's like I am not a licensed, you know, I am a fast EFT practitioner, and I have done this for many years, but I'm not like a doctor. I'm not somebody who's, you know,
well, for the
legalized person to do this stuff.
And for the deep stuff, one-on-one sessions or small group sessions are certainly.
Yes. That's why I like to be where I can really, really support you, and you always have that opportunity to reach out and book a discovery call. We have our next course coming up on September 20, and join this growing number of parents who are willing to be courageous, go where they need to go, let go, go there and let go.
Yeah, and have a happy family life. That's the driver, isn't it?
Yeah.
Happy family.
Happy family, and more creative, more mastery, more growth, more expansion, and more creativity. More joy. Yay. Awesome. On the other side.
Yeah.
So, yes, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for being here with us, and we'll see you again next Wednesday.
See you.
Bye.